A legend, Frank Robinson, died today of cancer at 83. Jim Axelrod looks back.
Frank Robinson gets ready at the plate.
You can't describe Frank Robinson without using words like first and only. The only man ever selected most valuable player in both leagues. The first African-American manager.
The curriculum to reflect more than just the experience of slavery. They want to know about the accomplishments of African-Americans throughout America's history. They're bringing posters. They've brought with them teachers. They're all talking about the same thing, and they do have the support of the Department of Education in continuing this conversation.
It's been almost a century since the tomb of Egypt's King Tut was discovered nearly intact. Since then, most of the tomb's treasures have been secured in museums. But the tomb itself has become a popular tourist attraction, and that's meant plenty of wear and tear. This week, Egypt marked a milestone in the preservation and protection of the site. Roxana Saberi has the story.
Gucci's fashion-forward top getting more complaints than compliments. Critics on social media slamming this $890 black turtleneck with a red cutout for the mouth. You mean to tell me no one saw the awful blackface resemblance? The luxury fashion label apologized.
Today is the first day of Black History Month, and this year's theme is Black Migration. The Association for the Study of African American Life and History says it's paying tribute to, quote, 400 years of the creative industry of people who were kidnapped and brought unwillingly to these shores and who, with resolute African spirit, fought for human dignity and equality. Lionel Kimball is the Associate Professor of History at Chicago.
I have a provocative comment in your new book here, Mug, and I think it's on page 151. You write that various groups, feminist, gay rights groups, and those who are defending immigrants have commandeered the black civil rights experience.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that because I think it's one of the most important points of the book. I mean, I think the way liberals have treated blacks like children and many of their policies have been harmful to blacks. At least they got the beneficiary group right. We do have to, I mean, we shouldn't. There is the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow laws. We don't owe the homeless. We don't owe feminists. We don't owe women who are just desirous of having abortions, but that's, or gays who want to get married to one another. That's what civil rights has become for much of the left. They dropped the blacks out. 5 minutes.
Immigrant rights are not civil rights?
No, I think civil rights are for blacks.
See, this is essentially the problem.
Over here, 7%. All the day talking. Over here, 7% today. We're paying today. We're paying more than anybody in town. 7%, 7 years today. 70 cents today. Here's 70 cents. 70 cents all day jumping. All I can do is advise you.
$8 bucks, and you guarantee you if you pull today and we pull what we got to pull today, you'll have $11 in your pocket.
This is not taking place in the Congo. It has nothing to do with Johannesburg or Cape Town. It is not Nyasaland or Nigeria. This is Florida. These are citizens of the United States, 1960. This is a shape-up for migrant workers. The hawkers are chanting the going peace rate at the various fields. This is the way the humans who harvest the food for the best-fed people in the world get hired. One farmer looked at this and said, "We used to own our slaves."
Welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. Hello, and this is Black Minds News. I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Mind, and this channel is to report, articulate, communicate, translate, unveil, decode, spread the news, whether it's by news, video, websites, or quotes from publications. As I articulate these information, I ask that the creator of the universe be here, heart, mind, soul, and spirit. Because why? The truth don't need no partner. as a descendant of the greatest people who created the so-called greatest country in the world, as a descendant of them that we call the DOS, ADOS, or badass, we give honor over here. Because you know why? The truth don't need no partner. And you know what my motto is? I'm not going to tell you what I heard. I'm only going to tell you what I know. Just another day in the neighborhood, just another day. We about to get a show off today. That's right, y'all. Another show. Man, that boy going at it. I know this show's a little delayed. Took a lot to get it off. First and foremost, before I even get into all that, I got to say first and foremost to my subscribers who should just happen to be lonely watching the video, just you and I, right? So I want to thank you for your participating, clicking on the button and giving some participation by clicking and helping this channel try to get out. And I guess it's been working just a little bit. And I want to thank each and every one of you, whether you are avid subscriber who watch or just happen to have nothing else to do. So let me go on here and spend some time over here and see what's going on. I want to thank you. Passerbys, welcome to the Black Minds TV. It's always a grand opening over here. All you have to do is go down the aisle, shop, see something you like, hit that like button. If you have a problem with something, hit the dislike button. The manager or supervisor will come out, see what your problem is. Hopefully we can get you something like an IOU, or maybe we give you a coupon for another second return. Hopefully we can get some service from you the next time. Agents, it's the 7th, right? So I guess tomorrow I'll figure out what it is that we're going to do, right? Or what y'all going to do, right? So, again, as I was saying, another show, man. Man, I'm trying to pump them this, but the way they got me doing it, man, they did this intentionally because it makes it a little bit harder for me to get it done. But I'm going to get it done because, again, I have to do it because that's within me to do. So again, it is February the 7th, 2019. And again, you can take the globe or a map, take out yourself a dart, blindfold yourself, take it and throw it anywhere on there, wherever it lands. I'm pretty sure you can find something in that spot that you hit, that there's always something popping on this planet. So, let's get in the show, because again, I'm trying to get it out before midnight, before the clock strikes 12, so it'll be at least still February the 7th, right? So let me get it going. So, let me go ahead and start the show off again. First and foremost, I got to get this one off because, again, individual today passed on today. And so you know how it is over here on Mr. Blows Your Mind Show. Again, as you part of the ADOS, the DOS, or the badass, right? Black American descendant of slaves is badass, right? So we the badass people, right? So I want to give some condolences to the family and some recognition and honor to this individual here. So you know how we do it over here. We give that praise to that. And so I'm going to go ahead and get that off real quick. So yeah, just sit back for a second and let's get it going. See how the show gonna start off tonight.
A legend, Frank Robinson, died today of cancer at 83. Jim Axelrod looks back.
Frank Robinson gets ready at the plate.
You can't describe Frank Robinson without using words like first and only. The only man ever selected most valuable player in both leagues. The first African-American manager in Major League history.
And Frank rips into this one.
His 586 home runs, 1966 Triple Crown, and 14 All-Star team selections might have sent him to Cooperstown.
Frank Robinson.
But it was his determination and integrity that sent him to the White House, where he was awarded a Presidential Medal of Freedom. As you might expect from a black man who faced discrimination when he tried to buy a home in a white neighborhood in Baltimore in 1966, Robinson had a fierce pride that didn't always endear him to his players.
I can be tough when I have to be tough, I can be mean when I have to be mean, but I can adjust to the situation. I am not a nice guy, and I hope you fellas don't get that impression.
When we spoke in 2005, he was manager of the Washington Nationals and unhappy with the shrinking number of African Americans on big league rosters.
This is a great game. This is America's game, and we have to get the African American people involved in this game again.
Frank Robinson spent 60 years in that great game as a player, manager, and executive, always doing his best to make sure it was played the right way. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, New York.
All right, so this Baseball Hall of Famer and pioneer Frank Robinson dies at 83. This story is coming from the NPR, February 7, 2019, and it reads, Baseball Hall of Famer Frank Robinson, who made history as a player, manager, and league executive, has died at the age of 83 in his home in California. Robinson, one of the game's most feared sluggers and a fierce competitor, starred in both the baseball major leagues. He later became baseball's first African-American manager. Frank Robinson resumed in our game is without parallel, or resume is our game without a parallel, a trailblazer in every sense whose impact spanned generations. Commissioner Rob Manfred said in a statement, he was one of the greatest players in the history of our game, but that was just the beginning of a multifaceted baseball career. Robinson broke into the majors in 1956 as a hot hitter and graceful fielder with a National League Cincinnati Reds. He was the NL Most Valuable Player in 1961, the same year the Reds won the league's pennant. But by 1965, despite hitting 33 home runs and driving in 113 runs, the team management considered him old and expendable. Robinson responded to that judgment with a vengeance. In 1966, the year after he was traded to the American League Baltimore Orioles, he led the team to a World Series victory while winning the Triple Crown and the Most Valuable Player award. Frank took us from being a good team in 1965 to being a great team in 1966. Hall of Fame pitcher Jim Palmer told the Baltimore Suns, "I'm glad Cincinnati thought he was an old 30 when they traded him." In the 6 years Robinson spent as an Oriole, the team went to the World Series 4 times and won twice in 1966 and 1970. ESPN Tim Kirkandjian writes that Robinson is one of the most underrated superstar players ever to play the game. With that, in 1966 season, Robinson became the first and remains the only player to win the MVP in both leagues. He also finished third in the MVP voting twice, fourth twice, and in the top 10 a total of 10 times. He made 13 All-Star teams. He won National League Rookie of the Year in 1956, hitting 22.29 or 290 with a 38 home run at the age of 20 for the Reds. And while he never led his league in the Triple Crown category other than in 1966, when he managed it in all three, he led his league in slugging percentage, the OPS and OPS plus 4 times, including 3 years in a row, 1960 to 62. And he led his league in the runs scored 3 times and being hit by pitches 7 times and intentional walk 4 times. Robinson is currently 10th on the all-time home run list with 586. There are statues of Robinson at the ballpark in Baltimore and Cincinnati. Robinson became player manager in Cleveland Indians in 1975, hitting home runs on opening day that year at the age of 39. He went on to manage the San Francisco Giants 1981 to 84 and then returned to Baltimore as skipper 1988 to 1991 before ending his field career managing the Montreal Expos Washington National franchise 2002 to 2006. Robinson also worked for the game off the field as a consultant and then executive with the commissioner's office. Born in Beaumont, Texas, Robinson was raised in West Oakland, California, where he attended McClemeth High School along with future NBA Hall of Famer Bill Russell. In 2005, he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President George W. Bush, but it was as a slugger that Robinson may be best remembered. On June 26, 1970, he hit grand slam home runs in consecutive innings. Consider this quote from his Hall of Fame page at Cooperstown. When asked by a fan how he would pitch to Frank Robinson, All-Star pitcher Jim Bolton replied, reluctantly. Okay, so we give again, as this show is, this is Black Minds TV, Black Minds News. Over here again, we give honor to our ancestors. We give a moment of silence to one of the greatest players to play in the National and American League, Frank Robinson. All right, so again, we give tributes over here when things go off like that. Again, as part of it, because again, you know, everybody has their inevitable, right? We all got an expiration date, and hopefully, again, as they say, the things that will be remembered is the things not so much about your birth or your death, it's the slash in the middle, meaning what did you do, right? The slash is the most important aspect on your supposedly tombstone. So again, we give honor to our ancestors. The newly one, Frank Robinson. So as we sit here again, as we call it, commemorate in memory. So again, I've seen this story here. And this story was based on the simple fact that, again, as we are in February, and February has a lot to do with the simple fact that it's supposedly Black History Month in the United States. And so, you know, also being the 400-year commemorative of the so-called starting time of that they count of 1619. So a lot is going on, and then you have now that there's a push to actually have the education taught to our children, and matter of fact, being a part of the school curriculum. So let me show you what I've seen today. And let's get this out there and this see how this gonna work. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure that everything crisp and clean, no caffeine, like feeling 7-Up. You get it? All right, let's get
They
it.
want the curriculum to reflect more than just the experience of slavery. They want to know about the accomplishments of African Americans throughout America's history. They're bringing posters. They've brought with them teachers. They're all talking about the same thing, and they do have the support of the Department of Education in continuing this conversation.
They want to see the truth about their history, their past, and their present, and not just narratives of oppression, not just narratives of hurt and pain and shame. They want to see the truth of their history, their past, and their present, but they also want to see the diversity.
Schools Chancellor Carranza issuing a statement telling Pix 11, quote, Chancellor Carranza has prioritized advancing equity, reducing racial disparities, and expanding culturally responsive education across New York City public schools. We thank this organization for raising its voice and look forward to partnering with them and communities across the city to improve our schools. It is the start of an ongoing conversation.
All right, so what we see is New York City is out there campaigning for the push for their school system to have mandate teaching of Black history, and not so much as just being with the ball and chain, even though we, as the ADOS and DOS and the BADAS, which is the Black American Descendants of Slaves, again, we don't shy away from the simple fact of giving honor of our ancestors. So why is it that they have been? Because why? They want to give you the bad without the good, right? Because that good is going to show you how much of the foundation of this country we have contribute more than those who say that this is their country, right? Now, again, you may have gotten the proceeds from the works that we put in, but when it comes to the foundation and the tangibles, I can get hearing that word, right? Tangibles 2020, right? So the tangibles that you can see that we have put in work as a nation of people, even though you don't want to consider us that, again, we are the thorn in your side or the thorn in your paw. So we are now starting to seek about trying to correct some of the lopsidedness of the teaching. It used to be a time when you was in school, when that time came out, it was a little dread when you were young and nobody, again, depending what kind of household you come from. Because if you came in a household that was giving you that game, telling you what it was about the goods about your people, and other than the fact that you was hearing the slavery part, then you dreaded maybe you dreaded that. And for me, I never dreaded it, because again, I got some good understanding earlier, right? And then again, I learned a lot of things from the other side of the things I had, of the interactions that made me kind of accelerate to understand racism, right? As you keep watching these shows, again, I always kind of bring some realization of my own experiences that sometimes when stories are coming across. So, but it was already said when they was going to do the commemorative for this 400-year anniversary that was going to be a push in the school curriculums, that they were going to start teaching Afro-American. Now, again, I have a problem with the African American title, because again, I don't believe that, I'm going to say it like this. We are family, those who may come from other aspects of other geographical locations. We are family. Don't get it twisted. But there's a distinction between the Black American of this land and you who came from another geographical location, or just happen to be having parents that may be from other origins, but you are the first or second generation. Now, that doesn't mean that you are not I'm tongue-tied tonight, okay? Documentally, you are a citizen, but you are not tied in to the blood, sweat, and soil, again, as the tangibles that have been laid by the foundation of those people, of the blood of that. Does not mean we're not family. It's just that's what that is, right? And so why not have a curriculum of a history that's going to tell the real story and all the inventions and all the things that we have contributed to this land? Because again, I guess it makes for other people who are a little fragile of mind to see of the propaganda that's been taught to other people to make us seem lesser people. But when you get done with it, as you heard in the beginning of this show, coming from the greatest people who they've created the greatest country, which we call the United States, we give honor over here, right? So that's what's going to end up happening. And again, that's going to infuse some empowerment into a lot of our children. And then again, we can see some of the things, the prosperity to show some of that greatness as time go on, because again, we got a lot of battles as time go on, don't we? Right? So again, we just bring that to some light again, that that's what happened in New York. But again, I think the original supposed to be doing it in Texas, right? Because I think a lot of people wanted to do the commemorative on the specific date, right? On a specific date, going back thinking like in August. But myself, because I've been fighting them so much, I was supposed to be starting from January 1st. I started a little bit because they started to, do the things they were doing, so I didn't really get to do it the way I want to. But today, this particular show, I'm going to do a little bit more as into that. But we should be flooding the internet with the 400, right? This is our free open pass to talk about that. And I think a lot of the things are really trying to divert us from not really focusing on that, right? A lot of things that out here, and some of the stuff that's going to be shown tonight on the show, are really diversions to keep us off the focus of that. Because again, the fragile mind of people, again, thinking one might be thinking they're so great, but to come to the tangibles, you come to find out you really don't hold a candle to these people. As much as you propagate and propagandize and you slant and you make them look in bad light, but when we had to put it out in the tangibles, it don't stack up. So we'll move on to the next part of the show. And, as we're talking about, again, history and the gloriousness, right? I think the other day we talked about this. Again, there was an exhibit in California. And then they said today, I seen this story here that was talking about it. Was like, well, it must be the season for this, because you just coming out every other day. And they said this time they came up with something as into to some more revealing, right? But we have to look at this story because again, why are they constantly keep showing us this, right? But this one in particular they showing on. Now again, the other day I did this one and it has about the last time that it's actually not going to be, out of the country it's coming from. And so those who will get to see the exhibit, again, I gave you an example myself. I was one who actually seen it back in the day. Remember I talking about the field trip, for those who might have seen that video or the last show, right? So here again, something came again, and check this out, and then I'll elaborate after that. So let me go ahead and get that, and let's move forward. Let's see how everything gonna work. Click, click, and we gonna get it. Is it gonna go? And I can do it again. Let's get it. All right, here we go.
It's been almost a century since the tomb of Egypt's King Tut was discovered nearly intact. Since then, most of the tomb's treasures have been secured in museums. But the tomb itself has become a popular tourist attraction, and that's meant plenty of wear and tear. This week, Egypt marked a milestone in the preservation and protection of the site. Roxana Saberi has the story.
As the world's most famous pharaoh, King Tut has attracted millions of visitors to his tomb, but at a cost. Dirt, decay, and scratches on the walls.
There's the graffiti.
So for the past decade, a team led by the LA-based Getty Conservation Institute has been hard at work, renovating the more than 3,300-year-old crypt. It's the first major renovation since the 1920s, when British archaeologist Howard Carter discovered the site in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. As King Tut turned into an international sensation, tourists thronged to his tomb to see the sarcophagus and mummy of King Tut himself.
A lot of visitors since nearly 100 years now. Nearly 100 years. 1922, the tomb was opened. It was sealed more than 3,000 years ago, and when it was opened, it was an environmental shock.
The conservators have cleaned and restored the painting showing the life and death of the pharaoh, while leaving these spots caused by fungus that's no longer spreading.
It is impossible to remove the brown spots without damaging the paintings. So for us, there's no question, we cannot remove them.
They have also put in barriers and added a new ventilation system to reduce moisture and dust. During most of the repairs, the tomb has stayed open, but work was delayed by the Arab Spring in 2011. With the political upheaval came violence and a collapse of Egypt's tourism industry. Egyptian officials hope tourists will return now that King Tut's tomb has returned to its ancient splendor. For CBS This Morning Saturday, Roxana Saberi, London.
Interesting. Tourists' breath are part of the problem in the tomb even.
It's amazing to walk in there. It is just, you're in another time. You really are. Well, hope you all can visit one day.
Okay, so once again, they're talking about the King Tut's finally going to reopen after decades of spent repairing the tourist damage. Now, again, as you've seen in there, they're talking about repairing, right? Again, they show you what they show you, right? And they tell you what they're doing. I remember seeing the parts where, individuals who have went and they were showing how a lot of that stuff, again, because they were stopping them from actually taking pictures into the tombs now, because again, they were doing a lot of whitewashing, right? So when they say repairs, right, and damage, that doesn't mean that, again, that somebody won't be, again, rearranging, just like history, right? So again, they're saying that they're in there and they're doing it, and then we have to always be skeptical because of the simple fact that we just can't trust, right? Now, again, people will, they speculate to try to make it about other people. They want to never tell you the honest truth. Again, as we've seen, those who've seen the last show that I did when we showed about the center that was in LA that is having the exhibit, what it was doing, it was saying, the tour guide was saying about the King Tut and about the black of the statue, right? He was saying that it was in representation of the soil and not that it had anything to represent of the individual who is you seeing. And so if you're willing to make a slant like that, then when you would be in the confines of there's no cameras and nobody else can't see you, how we know you're not rearranging? And again, now that you're going to be, it's not going to be exhibited anymore and it have to go there. So that means that a lot of people would have to, get passports and, be able to go there. But again, like I said, you're not going to probably be able to take pictures anymore, right? Unless you have some kind of connections and stuff like that. So again, we just know that I always said a while back, I said one day, about 100 years from now, Michael Jordan will be a white man. LeBron James probably be a white man. You know, Michael Jackson, they're going to make a white man. So it's like, just having the ability, again, they say, he who controls the pen, right, controls your past and your future, right? And so, again, as long as certain people in the aspect of power to be able to determine what is and what's not, there's a high probability of that, right? Because, again, they even, talking about making the Cleopatra movie, and then, again, look at the people who they had, Angela Jolie and I think it was Lady Gaga, and it's like what you know what I'm saying. Then they say, well, third runner up is what about Rihanna? You know what I'm saying? It's like, but anybody but DOS, right? Anybody can be that, but DOS. So I'm just like, okay, but again, so those who might have already been to Egypt and stuff and actually got pictures and stuff, I think you need to treasure those and preserve those the best way and keep them as family heirlooms and trade and pass that down with a history that you tell, again, because again, like I said, the way it looks like that's going on the continent over there, we might be some of the last people who really know that how black the continent used to be. And as time go on, we know what's happening. We see the whitening of the continent. You know how they say the browning of America is the lightening of the continent, right? So we have to be honest, just be knowing what we really seeing, right? So again, that's what they say they're doing. They're over there repairing it so they can have it back open again for tourism, right? So, they have an agenda, so we just have to be vigilant and watch anyway. So anyway, that's another story for you right there, right? So what else I got for you, right? Well, you know how it goes, man. Again, going back, and that was a little international, right? A lot of us, again, like I said, I got to see the King Tut exhibit back when it came back here, when it was King Tut. That wasn't just the treasures, right? It was actually King Tut. I got to see King Tut. Again, it's kind of funny how you can take somebody who's in their, here they are in their grave, right? And you're parading them around and pray, but we don't see other people being paraded like that, right? You don't see nobody excavate nobody else. As a matter of fact, there's a certain persuasion of people, right? Let's just say, for instance, if you're talking about Oswatch, right? You say you can't go over there and dig up nothing to try to see if, to exhume or to see who's really up. You can't do that because, again, they say that's part of their tradition and religion, right? So again, it's funny. The most mysterious thing that's on the planet, whatever happened to the real Egyptians? Don't tell me the people that's over there. We talking about the ones that were there. They just seem like they fell off the planet, or did they somehow get pushed into the United States? But don't quote me on that, right? Don't quote me. But anyway, moving on. Don't quote me. Don't quote me, goddammit. Anyway, so next part here I got for you. Well, you know how it is, man. Like I said, man, some people just want to always keep reminding you how they got you in just this, it's always trying to throw a jab, right? You got to always kind of remind you, I'm on top and I got you suppressed. And, saying, yes, it might be in your Black History Month and, Source 400 months. And instead of you being on your P's and Q's and being a little bit humble because, maybe I know we're wrong what we've done, right? Maybe I should just admit, it's kind of wrong what we did to these people, man. I mean, we loved them. I mean, we loved their athleticism. We loved their dancing. We loved their style, their swag. We loved so much about them, but I just get, again, what is it, primal urge. I get the primal urge to just, I don't know what it is. It's just something in me. It became hatred. Liam Neeson, right? That's what he said. Primal urge that turned into primal hatred. Well, what are you talking about, Mr. Buddyman? Well, let me show you something. I'm going to give you the article first. Then I got another story behind that. But I'm going to give you this first. As a matter of fact, before I do that, You know, I gotta get that. Let me go ahead and get the. Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. Let me go ahead and let's get this PSA. All right, let me get a PSA in here, and then we'll go right in from the PSA to the article, right? So let me go ahead for those who might be new to the show, seeing what it is. Again, I'm a man with a cup in my hand, sitting on the corner, shaking it and asking, can you help a brother out? Check it out. Be right back. Adidas pulls all-white sneakers created for Black History Month in wake of Twitter backlash. You know I'm going to say that again. Adidas pulls all-white sneakers created for Black History Month in wake of Twitter backlash. This story was done February the 5th, 2019, coming from the United States A Today, which is USA Today. This is how it reads. Adidas has pulled a sneaker it was selling in honor of Black History Month after an all-white running shoe was slammed on Twitter. The shoe, part of the company's Ultra Boost line, was included in a broader collection of clothing and sneakers inspired by the Harlem Renaissance. But critics said the sneaker's color and even the material apparently used to create it made from a tone-deaf tribute. Hashtag Adidas releasing an all-white sneaker in a Black History Month collection ain't it, one tweet read. Another post said, I walked into a hashtag JD Sports today to look at the Ultra Boost shoe, hashtag Adidas. I was told by an employee that these shoes were made to celebrate Black History Month. Confused, the employee proceeded to tell me that the shoe was made also of cotton. Hence, the all-white. I am disgusted. In a statement about its Black History Month collection, Adidas said that towards the latter stages of the design process, we added a running shoe that we later felt did not reflect the spirit or philosophy of how Adidas believed we should recognize and honor Black History Month. After consideration, or careful consideration, we have decided to withdraw the product from the collection. All right, once again, it's on. You know what I'm saying? It's always seemed to be like some advertising slip. Oh, I had a fox paw. I didn't mean it. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So how? Okay, let's just look at it. There has to be a there has to be a process, right? There has to be protocols, right? Now, how can, let's say, a department that you got the one who makes it, the one who designed it, the one who okays it, the one who's going to advertise it. You know, there's too many different departments for something to slip that far to get into right there to the commercial or actually to be advertised. As a matter of fact, to even get into the store, it had to get on the truck. You know what I'm saying? They had to put it in a box. There's too many things that should have prevented that. So that just, again, is to me, like I said, always trying to throw the punch, right? Always got the little connotative spirit, angle, however you want to take it, It always exists. And then want to say, oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean that. Yes, you did. Stop it. You meant that shit. Why the fuck would you make some shit? Okay, you gonna make in Black History Month a white ass shoe made out of cotton, right? There's nothing symbolizing in none of that shit. That was just by chance. Wait a minute. Who, what, where, pure white ass shoes? Now I know some of them like, hey, you smooth and you say you like to be fly and all that good stuff. Okay, I get it. Maybe there's a genre for that. There is some consumers for that. But why, if that was the case and that was not, then why did they pull it off the project? Why did they, take them off the shelf? It was to throw the punch. You know what I'm saying? Throw the subliminal punch. And again, for those who can't, discern that from the depthness of it, it just, oh man, again, if you're brand new, you may not know that, but you've been around again, many suns, many moons. You'd be like, man, what's this? But again, it's always there, right? It's always there. I mean, really? So you think, okay, well, Mr. Blum, yeah, come on, Mr. Blum, man, they didn't mean it. It was just, okay, come on. The shoe was just made out of cotton. Well, everything that's made out of cotton has to be wrong. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Blow Your Mind? Okay, it was white. So what? A white shoe made out of cotton. Okay, your underwear, right? This is your cotton and your white, right? All right. So okay, let's say hypothetically that you who say that, right? You say that, right? It was nothing intentional about that, right? It was nothing intentional about it. It was just, again, why did they pull it? And you say, well, it's because your interpretation of the way you saw it, and it was offensive, and because we're going to honor your feelings, we took it off. Okay, we didn't mean it. All right, let's go with that. Let's just say that okay, we read that wrong. Well, okay, let's try this then. I got another one for you, right? I'm gonna come right behind that one. Now you tell me what this is. Ready? You ready for it? Check this out. Here you go. Check it out. Let's go back. Come on.
Gucci's fashion-forward top getting more complaints than compliments. Critics on social media slamming this $890 black turtleneck with a red cutout for the mouth. You mean to tell me no one saw the awful blackface resemblance? The luxury fashion label apologizing on its website and pulling the item, adding it is fully committed to increasing diversity throughout our organization.
Apologies are not enough. We need to see a real embrace of diversity and inclusion in leadership of these companies.
Prada recently pulled an entire collection of products depicting a monkey with bright red lips. And H&M hired a diversity leader after showcasing this online ad featuring a hoodie with the phrase, "coolest monkey in the jungle."
If people look like me were working in the boardroom of Gucci, this product would have never been greenlit.
These fashion statements turn social faux pas, trending for all the wrong reasons. Kathy Park, NBC News, New York.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so what we're going to say now is, what was that again? Another slip and fall? Is that putting a banana in the tailpipe? Or is what it is, right? How can a company, again, there's protocols, there's too many different departments for something to slip out the store in a box, shipping, transferred, all those entail to get what you're getting, right? What's the possibility of that? What's the possibility of that? There is no way that can possibly happen like that. That is by no circumstance of chance. That is with intent. Again, I even did the story about the little sock monkey looking ass shit they was done at, what was that, Prada. When Prada did, right? But again, it's to get it out. You done got the punch out. It done did the damage. Then okay, we're going to take it back and we're going to apologize. No, man. Okay, again, as we talked about the other day, certain things are just what it is. You'd rather have a mother who just, again, if this is who you are, then just admit this is who you are. Then don't get mad when we out here are reporting and talking about what it is. Don't get upset about it. Explain to me what was fashionable about that shit. Huh? The last time I seen some shit like that, a turtleneck that was over motherfucker, it was kind of like on some Fat Albert shit. Remember that shit? What was it? Donald, I think it's it. The shit was pulled up over his mouth, right? And I don't know how that shit was even funny too, but I think it was funny for other people. But again, this was Bill Cosby's idea about certain characters or how he interpreted it. Here's a cartoon. I know, again, you do what you do, but look at that. Did you just see how that looked? And it had red around it. Really? I mean, don't tell me, okay, it's the company, Gucci, right? Again, I don't understand why a lot of y'all be wearing that any damn way. Because, again, going back in time, they used to say they didn't make Liz Claiborne, Liz Taylor, all them. They said they didn't make Jabot, all them. They didn't make their product for black people. But a lot of you wasn't around to hear that, right? A lot of the stuff that they created, they used to say they didn't make it for you. Right? So I guess they do this in a way to kind of say subliminally, like, we really don't want you, right? Not Johnny, but Tommy Hilfiger, right? And all that shit, right? Remember all that shit? Well, that's how when FUBU and all that came out, that's why they got real popular, and Carl Kanai. You remember all that? And Cross Colors and all that? That, you know what I'm saying? But where they at today, right? You get balled out, right? Take your design and then they put, so now you got the tight ass jeans and shit, ball prints and shit, all this bullshit, right? So, I'll tell me the fashion in the shit. And where the fuck do you wear that shit and that's supposed to look, I mean, come on, I don't even think Russell Westbrook will wear that shit. You get what I'm saying? I don't think Russell Westbrook will even wear that shit. He'd be like, that's some bullshit right there, right? Like, y'all tripping. You know what he said, right? So I'm just saying, man, come on, man. Who y'all playing with, man? We ain't stupid like that. We know fuck what it is. But that's the way y'all keep doing it. I'm trying to make the shit like, again, it's like there's some slip. There ain't no slip, motherfucker. This is just who you is. This is the primal urge. This is the primal hatred you got. You can't help it. Again, you have to be deflective. Let's just keep the shit 100. They being very deflective for the simple fact that why? It's the 400-year commemorative of the shit they've been doing to us. And that number 400 is big. That's a long fucking time. Huh? That's a long fucking time. And if we was to sit here and to talk from day one when it was January 1st, 2019 to now, a lot of them probably would have damn already done, heads would have blew up and shit. You understand? Fragile with it. Right? Knowing what you're doing, guilty, the burning reap. So that's why I say it is the American sin, and it's this thing not to be talked about because people feel unease. They're not feeling comfortable. Well, damn, what's the difference between you who have to hear it versus the one who got to wear it? Do I have to say that again? You who fragile of mind saying because there's an unease in the conversation that makes you feel, so it's uneasy for you to hear it, but how about those who got to wear it? If you don't want that, then stop doing the bullshit. It's just that simple. Right? It's just that simple. But it must not be that simple because, again, that's what Liam Neeson said. He said it's a primal urge. It's a primal hatred. So y'all keep showing your true colors. Right? So I guess it's just what it is, and then we just have to accept it for that, right? But see, again, what's good for the goose is always going to be good for the gander because, see, it's got to be a time when you will be in the position when you getting the ridiculing and you become the butt of the joke and when you can't be defensive, right? Time is on our side, right? So, again, take for what it is. I don't know. I want to see somebody. I bet, again, it was like $800 for that shit? For what? You paid that kind of money so that you could pull it out and then say, again, it'd be kind of like somebody talking about the blackface and shit. Well, I wore the blackface because it was Michael Jackson. I was just wearing it because that was the costume. You're going to see some motherfucker want it. Mark it down. What's the day? February 7, maybe February 8. When you hear this, mark it down. Somebody going to pull this shit out later on and wear that shit. And you're going to be like, I remember that bullshit. But boy, Mr. Blow Your Mind told me he told us that shit was going to happen. Mark my words. Somebody bought that shit. They bought it. And they going to pull it out at another time when the thing is cool, coast is clear. Pull it out. They don't remember. You understand? Watch. Keep my words. All right. We're going to move on, right? So, That's just how it goes, yo. That's just how it goes. No matter how you try to say, man, you try to give the benefit of the doubt, keep showing that just can't help it. Right? Primal urge, I just can't help it. There's just something about it, I just have to do it. I don't know how to control it. Well, okay, that's all right. You ain't got to control it. All right, so, you know, the motherfucker like throwing punches, right? Like throwing punches, right? Trying to make go get it, you know what I'm saying? When we look in this country here, we see the predators looking like rapists, raping young girls and raping women and all the bad things that goes on in here. Okay, we take it, right? We don't take it with a smile, but we take it, right? So, okay, what's good for the goose is always good for the gander. So here's a story here. Again, I had covered this again when everybody was looking left. Remember, I was looking right. When everybody was looking right, I was looking left. And when you was looking left, I was looking right, right? So when they were talking about all the stuff that was transpiring at that particular time, everybody jumped on the R. Kelly again. I don't condone, right? It is what it is. And again, I guess as time goes on, everything will reveal itself for what it truly is. So the same thing here. Again, I was doing the story on the left side when it happened. So again, something came out again. And I was like, oh, shit, damn, really? Okay, so, man, there's some wild boys up in there. So what you talking about, Mr. Bloody Mind? Check this out. It's got the story part to it. They ain't got no visual because they ain't going to give me no visual to this. So here it is. Check it out. I'll be right back. Pope says priest abused of nuns went as far as sexual slavery. You know I'm going to say that again. Pope says priest abuse of nuns went as far as sexual slavery. This story was done February the 5th, 2019, coming from the CBS News, and this is how it reads. Nuns have suffered and are still suffering sexual abuse at the hands of Catholic priests and bishops, and even being held as sexual slaves, Pope Francis confirmed on Tuesday. The abuse was so severe in one case that an entire congregation of nuns was dissolved by former Pope Benedict. The scope of the abuse of nuns by clergy members first came to light with the publications at the beginning of February of the monthly magazine Women's Church World. The edition included Francis' own take on the scandal, long known about by the Vatican but virtually never discussed, in which he blamed the unchecked powers wielded by priests and higher clergy across the Catholic Church for some crimes, or such crimes. An Associated Press journalist who first reported on the scandal last year asked Pope Francis on his flight home from the Arabian Peninsula on Tuesday whether enough was being done by the church hierarchy to address the problem. The pontiff conceded that it was a problem and said more action was needed, and insisted the will to confront the abuse was there. He stressed that the problem was not new and that the church has been working to address it for some time. It's a path that we've been on. Pope Benedict had the courage to dissolve a female congregation, which it was at a certain level, because the slavery of women had entered slavery even to the point of sexual slavery on the part of clerk or the founder, the Pope conceded. A papal spokesperson confirmed later to CBS News that the order of nuns dissolved under Benedict was the community of St. Jean in France. The reason the order was dissolved had not previously been made public. The St. Jean order was dissolved in 2005, the first year Pope Benedict served as the head of the church. He stepped down and Pope Francis took over as pontiff in 2013. I would like to underscore that he was a man who had the courage to do many things on this topic, Pope Francis said of his predecessor on Tuesday. The Pope confirmed that the abuse of nuns was an ongoing problem, but said it was only in certain congregations, predominantly new ones, and in certain regions more than others. While the pontiff did not provide further details on Tuesday, nuns in India and Chile at least had previously reported abuse at the hands of priests. Francis told reporters on his flight that the Catholic Church shouldn't be scandalized by this, adding that there are steps in process and we are working on it. The Vatican's new openness in discussing the abuse of nuns come after years of revelations about clergy abusing children, mostly boys. in the congregations across the globe and senior clergy members covering up those crimes. On his last flight from home, an international trip just last week, Pope Francis warned that expectation for an upcoming landmark Vatican summit on clergy sexual abuse should be deflated, as the problem was unlikely to be resolved through it. The pontiff move to lower expectations was likely a disappointment to many Catholics, particularly in the United States, where the last year has seen a string of revelations about senior church leaders covering up abuse. All right, so what we see is that the Pope was talking about this priest that has abused nuns when as far as sexual slavery. Man, can you believe that, boy? They pimping inside the cathedral. Huh? You thought nuns didn't get none. Nuns getting some, and nuns is out on the corners. That's wildness, man. We know we've been hearing about the sexual child abuse, right? We've been hearing those stories, right? And again, Pope Francis is trying to cleanse that out, right? But now it's come to find out, man, sexual slavery with the nuns. How do you really define that, right? They say they had nuns on the corner, or were they talking about they was, selling them to other priests? What do they mean by that? Because matter of fact, when you read the history about the Catholic Church, it goes back to that point that's how actually they got that schism, right? And then that break that how those in in Europe got away, made Protestants and, all the different denominations, is because they were saying the wildness that was going on. And they were just really trying to get a reason to get her, because they wanted to get in that damn slave trade. You understand? Because you got to remember that it was the Catholic, again, they gave the papal bull only to Spain and Portugal, right? So the rest of them, they couldn't get involved in it. So based on that, because again, the vicar, the VICAR, which is, the representation of Christ on earth, which is the Pope, he had the juice. So they're like, well, we gonna pull away from that so that way we can get into the game. And so again, it was due to the simple fact that there was a lot of, they were saying, defilement and debauchery and prostitution that was going on. And so here it is in 2019, same old, right? Same old suit, just reheated. And so again, you see that Pope Francis is in there trying to, cleanse out all this stuff. Because again, you wouldn't think that. But I guess, come on, man. Again, primal urge, man. It's just the natural inclination of a man to want to have, relations, just like I'm pretty sure a woman. Women seem to have a little bit, a lot more control or more ways to, get, again, maybe it's just a simple fact women know how to get off unbeknownst to men, and they seem to have a little bit more control as into their urges, right? Where men, again, is on his own, right? And so, but again, here it is, you are to be celibate. That's part of the job, is, to, taking cold showers every day, and I guess reading to the fact that you have no kind of, I think that is almost humanly impossible, unless that's the way you fix it. Like, I guess that you become a eunuch, right? And I even think that even eunuchs was probably, okay, they couldn't stick it, but that didn't mean they couldn't lick it. You get what I'm saying? They can't stick it, but they could probably lick it. So that didn't mean they weren't doing that, right? So again, they was like, as long as they couldn't, but again, we just don't know. So here it is again, man. Again, not make light or fun of the whole situation, but the fact that it is that, the natural inclination to have copulations, to have intercourse, right? It's part of our experience as being human beings, right? And so when you try to put a cap on that in the, sense of that is part of your profession, I think that's a lot of pressure on a lot of men. And then, then, again, you might get the primal urge, and these mothers like, man, get out of that and make that money. You know what I'm saying? That's wild when you really think about it. It really, really is wild. So, again, you heard it here on the Black Minds News. Pope says priest abuse of nuns went as far as sexual slavery. Wild shit. All right, so moving on, right? We're going to keep it going. I'm going to keep it going. Because I'm trying to get the show off before midnight, right? But right now, like I'm already at midnight, so I guess it's going to come out as the 8th, as we already do it. I couldn't do it anyway. But it's all good. I do this because I enjoy to do it and understand application for those who need it, right? All right, so let's see what I got held in here. Well, let's do this, right? Okay, this one here is kind of, how I'm going to say this, man. Let's see. Well, again, I didn't watch, right? I didn't watch the Super Bowl, right? Because I had stopped watching a lot of, I don't mean like NBA a lot. I didn't watch a lot. I don't even watch a lot of sports anymore, man. Again, I used to, I was athlete, man, do all that stuff, right? But, game changed, man. I thought the game a little silly, all that damn shooting. I like both, I just shooting all the damn time. I'm from, go to the, what I'm saying? I can go to the hole. It didn't matter if you got defense. You got to be able to stop that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm up and going to the cup, but can you stop it, right? Shooting, I respect him more than you said that. You said back in the day, it used to be, with that shot, he was that's all he could do. He was kind of weak. He didn't have no other moves. He'd get that wide open shot. Normally be the white cat, say be sitting in the corner the whole damn game, and then boom, he in the shot. So you be trying to help out, not say for me, but people be trying to help out and shit, and then, it do get wide open. But now there's like the whole league like that, right? So everything is becoming shoot. Now I say that is shoot is for the simple fact that, well, again, it's kind of like quarterbacking. See, if you had to kill the Mike Vicks and Mike, the Vince and all that, you had to kill that out, right? And the RG3 and all that. That's because then there wouldn't be that many other people to be in them positions. It would have been pretty much a chocolate league, right? And so you have to keep certain elements, otherwise it gives them that roadway to get back into the game, if you know what I'm talking about, right? So what are you talking about now, Mr. Boyman? Well, again, I'm just saying not so much about per se about the Super Bowl. I just said, well, let me play it first, man. Let me play it first. Matter of fact, before I even go there, let me go ahead another PSA. You know what I'm saying? Let me get another PSA in here before I do what I do, because this one here, is what it is, right? It is what it is. So let's do it. Gonna try to get it again. John Lewis, civil rights icon, gets Super Bowl highlight. I'm going to say that again. John Lewis, civil rights icon, gets Super Bowl spotlight. This story was done February the 4th, 2019, coming from AL.com, and this is how it reads. Alabama native and civil rights icon, United States Rep. John Lewis participated in the opening coin toss ceremonies for Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta Sunday, along with Reverend Bernice King and United States Ambassador Andrew Young. King tossed the coin just after the CBS broadcast of the game showed a montage that included a speech by her father, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., and footage from the key moments in the civil rights movement, including the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, interspersed with footage of NFL players holding hands and performing community service activities. Lewis was born outside Troy and participated in many landmark civil rights protests, including the Freedom Rise and the 1965 Bloody Sunday march from Selma to Montgomery, in which Lewis was beaten and suffered a fractured skull. In 1986, Lewis was elected to the United States House of Representatives in Georgia, a seat he still holds. Lewis in recent days has spoken up for NFL players like Colin Kaepernick, backing their right to kneel in protest during the playing of the national anthem. All right, so again, for those who've seen the Super Bowl and seen Gladys Knight sing the national anthem, then you had Bernice King, which is Martin Luther King's daughter. You had Andrew Jackson, who was the ambassador, right? And you have John Lewis, again, Selma, right? So, a lot of people have their feelings about what transpired there, right? Again, as that story talked about how John Lewis said that he believed that Colin Kaepernick had the right, to do what he did. And it seemed that, again, as I remember, I did the show on that day, that story broke as into Donald Trump had signed that crime bill, right? And then stated that how those in the NFL had congratulated him. But again, they never disclosed exactly who it was that supposedly had given. Because again, it was like saying, well, if the owners came to you and did it, but I guess that was good business, right? It was good economics to sign that, so that way they can stop some of the nonsense. But again, kind of like it was a photo op. You've seen how that photo looked, right? And that's how they did. They took the photo op, right? Again, they're going to get a chance to rewrite in history later on to give it the turn they need, again, to make it, again, everything worked out copacetically, and they worked out in iron. But again, is that what happened, or was it just something, again, it's 400 years, it was Black History Month, and, again, like I said, the fragility of mind that people got, right? Again, they really ain't trying to deal with this, and then you got the ADOS, the DOS, or the BADAS, right? Saying certain things that for the political about, hey, you know what? You want this participation, you got to come with Papa got a brand new bag. You know what I'm saying? What you got in the bag, Pops? If you got something in the bag then maybe we got something we could work out. And that is something new. Again, because again, you got to look at it this way. We've only, and I think this is, let me say this too. I think the problem here is this. It's this. This is what I believe that the problem is, or the issue here is. It's not really the issue. I think this is where the split is. Let's put it that way. Let's say that they say that the baby boomers end in 65, right? 65, I think it's from something to 65, right? 65 is the cutoff. So 66 on up to about 75, somewhere up there, right? That's Generation X, right? So let's just say baby boomers, accordingly, if we're going to go with civil rights and being the actually initial time that black people are actually getting to be rights. Again, okay, if you say 1865 is emancipation, which means supposedly the announcement that you are being freed off the plantations, 1965 is the time you're getting rights to be considered free as some rights. So let's say anybody who's born after 65 are kind of like being the people who were born coming out of 1865. Let's say if you was born 1866. Well, let's say you was a shorty. Let's say for instance, if you was born, let's say 62, 60, whatever, 50 something, you still was a shorty, right? And you went from that to that. Okay, but I believe it's just a different mindset, a different infusion of energy and spirit, because you coming at a time. That's why I believe that you see so much of those out here doing the speaking, because they had been free from the time they've been born. Do I have to say that again? We've been free since the time we've been born. So we don't know what it is to, under that we respect it, we know it, and again, it ain't. I'm not saying some of we didn't go through it. Again, I ain't gonna tell you what I heard. I'm gonna tell you what I know, right? So, in that aspect, you know, when you see that photo, when you see what took place again, people had their splits about it. So they had their ways of looking about what Gladys Knight and what she did, right? A lot of people say, well, why would you go up there and do what you do? Well, again, they cut on the cloth. They wasn't free. So, you know what I'm saying? That's what they do, right? That's, you know, that's that, you know, again, you know, okay, they got to do it for the money, whatever. And some people say, well, hey, and put their work in, they cut from the soil. This their country and they feel they want, okay. Some people will say that, but most other people say, hey, I thought we were supposed to stand together, be together, it's all for one, unified, we're all for one, right? So the freeze versus some of those, again, they said, well, we've been around, we know the game a little bit better, but the other ones say we free. And that's why you see the ones behind, they even trying to be even more freer, right? To the fact that it's pissing people off, right? So they said they need to put that genie back in the damn bottle. So I'm just saying it didn't look good that they was out there used in the way that they were used. Right, and then they played the montage of Martin Luther King. And again, if you've been over here watching my show, they came out and told that truth, right? Baba Dick Gregory had already told us that, right? And again, when he was saying it, it wasn't, again, that's not, matter of fact, he told it, but really we have to give the credit to Steve Coakley. It was Steve Coakley who the one that brought out all that information about, you know, Reverend Kyle and moving and that, right? And then it was the fact that later on that the nurse who was at the hospital who disclosed what she said, and then now they're just now coming out with that, again, 50 years later, to say what really transpired in that hospital and the conspiracy that was tied up that William Peppers had wrote about. And again, for those who didn't see the video, I got the video. Go back and check, and you can hear the whole story read to you solid from the article, right? And so I'm just saying, based on all that history that took place, again, there's a lot of other stuff. Again, if you ever should see the Steve Coakley videos and some of the stuff, and then you see who was out there taking a picture, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying about John Lewis, but you know what I'm saying, just look at others, and then, you know, it just didn't have that great feeling. Again, I'm not going to sit there and say too much about my ancestors like that. Oh, not my ancestors, but my family like that. Sometimes, you know, sometimes when you deep in the game like that, and again, you know, you have to play as the music play, because I guess the son and it was like, you already got me. Matter of fact, you can go back when they was doing the re-signing of the Martin Luther King holiday. I was like, wait a minute, didn't that already happen? So why was Trump and them doing that? I was like, man, it was like kind of like, you know what I'm saying, deja vu. Like, didn't they do that already? And so, you know, he had him up there under the commemorative of all that. And, you know what I'm saying? People was tripping about that. So it's like, I guess, you know, we could never really understand, because, again, unless you cut from that family to know exactly what it is, because that whole family kind of went through a whole lot. You know, the one thing they don't really talk about a lot is what happened to Martin King's mama in that church. And accordingly, they said it wasn't really trying. They were trying to get Coretta, right? So, you know, so we never know all the ins and outs to that again. And so they did what they did based on, again, I think it was to package up the whole aspect that Trump had already signed that crime bill, and so that just to package the deal to show, you know, they get the tangibles. That was to be able to show, so anybody who's still doing it say, well, if it's not good, then why did they do that, right? So, you know, again, to each his own. They did what they had to do, and again, the history will judge them later on, as everything will be revealed even more as time go on. So again, just wanted to bring it to attention, because I know some people seen it. I didn't watch it, but I ended up seeing that because somebody talked about it. I was like, oh, really? Let me go check that out. And so I seen it, so I presented it. So there you go for you, right? All right, so let's go on, moving on. At the 115 mark, huh? I'm moving, right? Well, this one here, right? Let me do this one here. Well, let me do it this way. I think I'm gonna do both of them at the same time. I think that's the best way to do that. Do the both. Yeah, I do both of them at the same time. Okay. So, as I'm talking again, as I said about what happened at the Super Bowl, right? You had Bernice King, you had John Lewis, and you had Andrew Young, right? And they represent a aspect of some of the struggles, their symbols, again, whether they're themselves or just the fact that they are the lineage of it. And it's part of the American history, right? And so, again, there's ADOS, DOS, and BADAS, which is Black Americans Descendants of Slaves. BADAS, the BADAS, right? And so, you've been hearing people out here. Again, you hear Kamala Harris. Again, she came out, and then, people DOS was like, hey, you ain't fitting the bill. You seem to be coming short of the bean pie. You saying this, but people going back again, today people can go back and research and find out a lot more stuff again, because a lot of stuff is out there. Say, hey, hold on, wait a minute, you this and you that. You not quite, you coming up short, and then now she changed the tune, right? Then Cory Booker come out, he do what he do, right? And so, then you have what's going on in other channels on the Black Corner. They had their line up with people, and they're trying to say that people who talking DOS, they not too smart, and they're not really understanding how the game works. And, there's a whole lot of stuff going on, right? So I was like, man, okay. So there's a battle going on right here, right? And the battle seems to be that you got people who, again, are not cut from the blood, sweat, and tears of that, which came and, made the fruition of the place that you end up leaving wherever parents may have left to come here, right? You benefit from that, right? And then here are the prosperity siblings, descendants of them who, again, if it was a house and I had food and I had shelter for you and I allow you to be in my house, and again, as a good host, I'm going to let you eat until you full, right? Let you have my bed, this old school way, right? Have my bed, right? You want to wear my, you need some clothes to wear. You know what I'm saying? I think you didn't bring your toothbrush. I supply you with everything you need. But then it get to the point where it's like, okay, that was for a few days. This shit been going on, right? So I was like, wait a minute, okay. So it seemed like there was a pipeline or underground railroad where people was like, hey, let's just go over there. It's all good over there. We was indoctrinated with certain different ways. People was having us looking over there, say, okay, hey, don't claim here. Go way over there and claim that. You'll figure out what I'm talking about. Claim over there, right? Go over there and learn your history over there and learn that and acclimate that. While you was doing that, they was over here setting up shop over here, getting all kinds of stuff, and you was just, okay, they said, well, black is black. You look on the TV talking about crime, they said it was African American. You're like, oh, okay. Man, our people out here wilding, right? So everything we say black is black. Mirror, mirror on the wall, right? So everything we was thinking black was black, right? So we was taking that. So everything black was black. But then there was some people who been around. They used to sit the game. No, the motherfuckers ain't. Check the pedigree. The motherfuckers ain't. Oh man, they the same. No, the motherfuckers ain't us, man. I'm telling you, you didn't know. You was young. You didn't know no better. No, it's all the same. So now we come to find out that's what it is, and that's what's happening. The DOS family is starting to realize that everybody else who come here now seem to been trying to undermine in their own compound of their own people. They talking shit about you, but they eating good at your table. And so when you see those people who are the descendants of that now trying to say, why we gonna Voltron, galvanize, get together, and we want to start putting a flag on our moon. But all those other people now starting to have problems with it. They're like, no, man, you can't be doing that shit, because then what I'm gonna have? No, you're a slave. You're supposed to stay a slave. And this land is for everybody. So everybody now is going to take the mantra Oh, give me you're tired, you're poor, you're hungry, and give me you're sick, and that shit sound poetically prose, it sound beautiful. But in reality, there's some people here who put in the work to allow you to bring yourself here. And everything that has come legislatively, when it came to laws and rights and all that, that was for them people. Mr. Blow Your Mind, what are you talking about? It's for African Americans. Oh, really? Well, okay, well, you know how it is. They say when black people talk, you don't believe when black people talk. But if I get somebody white to say it, would you believe it then? Well, if I get somebody white to say it, would you believe it? Well, let's see here. Check this out. Let me go on ahead and let me show you this, right? Let me show you what are you talking about, Mr. Blow? You know I got something for you. So let me set it up right quick. One here and two here, right? Now check this out. Let's listen to this. Listen carefully. Listen carefully.
You make kind of a provocative comment in your new book here, Mug, Don. I think it's on page 151. You write that various groups, feminists, gay rights groups, and those who are defending immigrants have commandeered the black civil rights experience.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that because I think it's one of the most important points of the book. I mean, I think the way liberals have treated blacks like children and many of their policies have been harmful to blacks. At least they got the beneficiary group right. We do have to, we shouldn't. There is the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow laws. We don't owe the homeless. We don't owe feminists. We don't owe women who are just desirous of having abortions, but that's or gays who want to get married to one another. That's what civil rights has become for much of the left. They dropped the blacks after 5 minutes.
Immigrant rights are not civil rights?
No, I think civil rights are for blacks.
See, this is essentially the problem, and the Republicans
What have we done to the immigrants? We owe black people something. We have a legacy of slavery. Immigrants haven't even been in this country.
But you see, most of us are either immigrants or are the descendants of immigrants, and we understand that not everybody. There are Native Americans, but we understand in this country. We understand in this country that kind of self-deportation, making things so difficult for immigrants, for undocumented immigrants, that they have to leave, or the DREAM Act, vetoing, threatening to veto the DREAM Act, which is what Romney has said. And again, we have Governor Romney, who is basically taking a position that is anti a large and the fastest growing segment of the electorate.
And here's the thing, if Republicans don't do something with immigration, and if Republicans are so far away from Latinos, they're going to lose not only this election, they might lose the White House for generations.
The future.
And Texas to turn
That's why the Democrats are dropping the blacks and moving on to the Hispanics, because they're a larger group of Hispanics now. But can I just say to Jorge, I hate to disagree with you when you're attacking President Obama, but I think the point on immigration is you can have open borders or you can have a welfare state. You cannot have both.
Asians and Jews who think they're black and culture goes on tirade after report detailing racism promoted by ICE officials. You know I'm going to say that again. Asians and Jews who think they're black and culture goes on tirade after reports detailing racism promoted by ICE officials. This story was done in Newsweek, February the 7th, 2019. And Culture speaks on stage during Politicon 2018 at Los Angeles Convention Center on October 20th of 2018. Coulter unleashed a Twitter tirade after Media Matters published a report detailing that a high-ranking ICE official had retweeted her racist commentary. And it reads like this. Prominent conservative commentator Ann Coulter unleashed a Twitter tirade after Media Matters published a report detailing that a high-ranking ICE official had retweeted her racist commentary. On Thursday, Media Matters reporter Eric Hanaki published a piece noting that John Freer, whose LinkedIn page says he is a senior advisor at ICE, had promoted Coulter's disparaging comments about immigrants. Freer had also worked on Trump's election campaign. The comment included columns in which Coulter asked What's the upside of admitting 250,000 poor, culturally backward, non-English speaking Muslims every year? And we want remarkable Americans, not immigrants whose selling point hasn't blown anything up yet, Media Matters reported. Media Matters previously documented that Freer also promoted white nationalist publication Vidaire. Culture blasted out a series of tweets shortly after the Media Matter article appeared. And Asians is going to explain racism to us? Apparently, it has nothing to do with black people. It's all about immigrants, she wrote in one post. In another post she wrote, forget the Middle Passage, Uncle Tom's Cabin, the Civil War, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, civil rights. Racism is only about Asian immigrants, Hanaki. She posted an image of Hanaki with the comments, have you ever noticed all the good anti-racism jobs are going to Asians? Hanaki, racism slayer. When Media Matters senior fellow Matthew Gertz noted Coulter's comments, writing and Coulter is currently having another racist meltdown after my colleague, #eHanaki, revealed that an ICE senior advisor loves her bigoted commentary. She tweeted at him, oh look, our backed up racism slayer is Matthew Gertz, whose father worked for slave wages in the hedge fund industry, she wrote. She said in another post, oh, I just thought of a new civil rights for you guys at Media Matters to celebrate. Asians and Jews who think they're black. Gertz commented, and Culture signaling to her follows that I'm Jewish. That should end well, adding in a second tweet, my father does not work in the hedge fund industry, and yes, she knows exactly what she's doing. Just before the flurry of posts related to the Media Matters article, Culture had retweeted a post about Gucci stopping sales of a sweater accused of looking like blackface. Culture wrote, instead of banning wool-face masks, let's do something useful, like recalling that civil rights laws are only for the descendants of American slaves. Culture, who has 2.13 million Twitter followers, has held a prominent influence on President Donald Trump. Prior to the 35-day government shutdown that began in December, the White House had signaled that Trump would give up his demand for border wall funding to keep the government open. Culture was among the right-wing pundits who blasted Trump for capitulating on his campaign promise to build the wall. She wrote a column titled, Gutless President in Wallless Country. Although Trump praised Culture's book, she published a text in 2016 called In Trump We Trust. The president unfollowed her on Twitter in December, according to an automatic Twitter handler that documented that Trump's family Twitter's account. All right, so we see Ann Coulter. Now again, some black people have problems with Ann Coulter, but let me tell you something. Ann Coulter understands. I'm going to just say it like that. Again, if you're going to have anybody, again, those people who need allies, and some people is kumbaya and have to have other people in it, here's one person that you need to listen to, right? Ann Coulter be telling it like it T.I. is, right? You heard the first video where she sat there and said about civil rights. Think about it. We were here before there was anything established, that when it wasn't nothing other than about white men. We were here, right? We were here. They say that men could vote, but was that black men being able to vote? You get what I'm saying? Now again, there's a difference between it was free, servants, right, indenture. We get all that, right? Different little statuses, I get that. But I'm just saying, as we talk about DOS, ADOS, BADAS, right? So, with that being said, that which was here, that was the whole purpose of having the DOS here was to help formulate and build this country that they call the United States. there may have been, again, there's going to be people say, well, the Chinese built the railroads. That's the railroad, right? And what time and period of history was that, right? Now, when all this other stuff is establishing and being built, immigration was not the issue. When emancipation supposedly happened in 1865, well, we won't say supposedly. When it happened in 1865, where was the immigrants that people who are now consider themselves documented citizens and others, where were you? Where were you? Where was your people at? Again, we family, but we're talking about those who come and cut from the blood, sweat, and tears that built this place. Where were you? Oh, you don't come to what, 21st century? 20th century? Okay. So now, during all that period of time, as you heard Ann Coulter, okay, let me go back to that before I get into that, because she laid it out already. She said in the video, with civil rights was made for black people, not for other people, not for gay people, not for homeless people, not for immigrants, for black people. We owe black people. Everybody keep acting as if like that is not real. Why is that? Why is it that everybody try to act as if like when you start talking about that everybody, again, she used the word commandeer. Commandeer. That's kind of like this, what's her name? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, when she said, talking about how the atrocities of the people and the blacks, she said Puerto Ricans and threw in Mexicans. Mexico, I get it. We understand at one time that the land that was, but did you go through the atrocity of building, being enslaved, agriculture? You get it? Did you have that? And if you do, under whose regime do you got your claim with? You get what I'm saying? So why is it that people feel like they supposed to commandeer what we know for a fact, what we of the DOS have done? And we are the byproducts of it. So now everybody in this 21st century feel like they can just come in and take. As Ann Coulter has, with again, I co-sign what she said. Right? So here it was. She has this, again, the first video I'm talking about first. She said what she said, right? And you hear the white man start talking about, well, immigration and DACA. And wait. What does that got to do with black people who you owe? Why is it that everybody got a problem with that when you know that is the sin of the nation? And it seems like everybody would prefer to keep our people in the condition for the betterment of yourself. Then what type of people are you? Then you telling who you really truly are. So you turn a blind eye to the injustices only for the benefit of yourself, not for the people who allow you to have whatever you think you got. And that's not right in any form or fashion. And how you look at yourself in the mirror, trying to make yourself seem like you're an upright, standing, righteous person is only a lie. Right? It's only a damn lie. So here's this woman, Ann Coulter. So they got to say she's doing a tirade. She's on a rancid tape because she's telling the damn truth. And it's like every time we start telling the damn truth, all of a sudden now we have to be, embellishing or lying or we're angry. No, it's just the facts to what the fuck it really is, right? So she says in the Newsweek article, she said, well, she had included in the column, which Coulter asked, she said, what's the upside of admitting 250,000 poor, culturally backwards, non-English speaking Muslims every year? Now, I get what they say, saying, well, why you calling them backwards and not speaking English and they Muslims and all that. But the point is not so much of that. Again, some people just gonna be who they is, right? White folks gonna say what they gonna say because they said this their country. You know what I'm saying? Like the old commercial. This is our country, right? This their country, and some things are just gonna always be the way. But what her point is, you constantly bringing other people here, right? 250,000 people, but you got some people here that why are you bringing them when you got some people in here? Well, because it's not good for economics, because, again, you can't run that game on them because you can't give them cheap labor. So in order to keep your mega profits that you're making, you're not trying to deal with the DOS. So you're trying to get replacements. And matter of fact, this replacement has been going on for a long ass time in this country. To the fact that, again, I'll talk about it later, to the fact that it's becoming, the boldness that people are sitting in. I'm seeing these videos that people are talking about that are people from who are first, second generation. They're trying to act as if you first, second, third generation versus some people who've been here 400 years. And like, you got some claim. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? You got to be crazy, right? Or y'all just some selfish ass people, right? And so, it goes on again because the group that's going at it is called Media Matters, right? Everything is something. Anytime when it was Black Lives Matter, oh no, can't have nothing. See, that's the problem. Anything that has to do with black in its by itself, it's not inclusive. It's a problem. Why is that? Why is it a problem when black people just want to be on their own doing what they do and not have you included? Why everybody upset? But collectively, everybody is shitting and trying to hold our head under the goddamn water and drown us, though, right? So she goes on and she has this conversation again, right? And she says, as Asians is going to, an Asian is going to explain racism to us. Apparently, it has nothing to do with black people. It's all about immigrants, she wrote. So they say she's having a tirade, but what did she just say? An Asian is going to explain racism to us. Now, here is, they talking about a ICE official, right, who job is basically, they say the immigrant slayer, she called him, right, the immigrant slayer, which his job is to go around rounding up people who are undocumented or illegally here in the country, right? That's his job. But she's saying, here you is who advocate, I guess, you do the research, find this, and he advocates for, the betterment and him being an Asian, being in the United States, right? Again, she says in this article, she talking about, it looks like the people who getting off some of the better jobs seem to be immigrants and Asians like yourself, right? And it's telling him, well, apparently, right, you want to tell me about racism in the country that is formulated that, again, the relationship between black folks and white folks, there's a history between us. You as an Asian, you as immigrants from other place, that had nothing to do with you. That was between us and them, right? And now somehow that we done flipped the script, that now it's more about everybody else, immigrants, but got nothing to do with black people in y'all whole equation. It's only about y'all. Is she right or is she wrong? Is she right or is she wrong? Right? So she said, so in another post, she said, so okay, I guess we're just supposed to forget about the Middle Passage. We're supposed to forget about Uncle Tom's Cabin. We're supposed to forget about the Civil War. We're supposed to forget about Reconstruction. We're supposed to forget about the Jim Crow era. We're supposed to forget about civil rights, right? Racism is only about Asian immigrants, huh? That's what she said to him, right? So let's look at what she said. Forget about the Middle Passage. What does the Middle Passage got to do with? That has to do with the DOS, right? That is the DOS being, according, if we want to go to the story, either we was already here or you brought us here or we came with other people, however you want to take it, right? But we were already here, right? So that which transpired there, that in the history there, what does that got to do with immigration today? Right? Well, according to the people who have been here from the inception when this all started. Oh, because they no longer here. That don't count. And whatever happened to you, it's only because you're not working hard to do that. You need to compete like everybody else. If that was the case and we didn't have everything holding us down, then there was you had no place to come. Do I have to say that again? If black DOS in this land had the fair opportunities to be, without having all the obstacles again, as she talked about, Reconstruction, right? Jim Crow, right? If you didn't have all that in place, redlining and everything else, immigrants, you wouldn't be able to get in this damn place. You wouldn't be getting in the numbers you would have been getting in, right? That wouldn't be happening. So with all that, that's history. Everything she talked about, Uncle Tom Cabin, that's history. Civil War, that's history. Reconstruction, that's history. Jim Crow era, that's history. Civil rights, that's. So where part of the history do the immigrants got on DOS in this land? Right? And so everybody is trying to, as she said, commandeer. You're trying to take over and steal some shit and try to say, now you even being slick in your talk and trying to include yourself in the claim. You don't got no claim. Even, let's say, for instance, you may have, again, the transatlantic slave trade did happen. Let's say the transatlantic slave did happen. But your claim has to be under the people who colonized you, right? Your claim is with them. Now, what happens later in history as these become different territories, branches out, that's under new management. That's not the original. You understand? When you got a claim with the original, you got to file a claim with the original, not come to the new management. Do I need to say that again? Y'all want to try to call claim on the new management and not try to file claim with the old management. And so you trying to commandeer on our claim. I beg your pardon. You don't get that shit with us. Right? And it's a damn shame that we got to say this because y'all so bold and acting as if like y'all got something coming when you ain't got shit coming. Right? You really ain't got shit coming. And that's the problem. They're using you as a damn wedge and y'all ass are saying, well, fuck it. If we fought for all the shit that you got, think about this. The people that you don't want to get nothing and trying to commandeer did all that fighting, did all that dying, did all that work for you to come in and act like we ain't got no claim here. What's wrong with y'all? Huh? What's wrong with y'all? Y'all got that game twisted like a motherfucker. And we not finna stand for that shit. We not gonna stand for that shit. That's just the bottom line to it. We're not doing it. And the shit is ridiculous that we even had to have a conversation and y'all sitting here with a straight ass face acting this is like y'all got something coming. You done already got enough as it is. You think our children, our grandchildren, our prosperity to come is supposed to sit here and be having nothing and be a third world fourth corner when you lost your most of you had the most resourceful country on the goddamn planet. You done let that shit. You didn't fight for it. You didn't, and you gonna come now and put a damn flag on our shit and we supposed to sit there and act like that shit ain't. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. Get y'all ass the fuck out of here with that shit. That's what we saying. Fuck out of here with that shit. Now this again, we family, but goddamn it, you're not gonna come on my house and disrespect us and act as if like you can walk out, do all kind of shit. We supposed to just sit there like fuck it. They coming, they just crazy as fuck. Well, we can get crazy too. And that shit is crazy, man. Fuck, we gotta keep doing this shit. But anyway, it is what it is, right? Switching speeds like Bruce Lee riding a Fuji in a movie, right? All right, so Ann Coulter got the game down packed. She know what it is. When she talk, they know they can't debunk it, but they not trying to have that conversation. Because why? The one thing that was said in that video that you should have peeped game to was this. They say, well, you're bringing the immigrants in, but if you don't treat them the way they'll do the things they want, they're gonna be Democrats, which means the Republicans can't win. They say, well, fuck it. We'll just do that shit for a whole generation. Fuck y'all up. So guess who's the split vote here, y'all? DOS. DOS can make Republicans win. So guess what, Republicans? You know what you got to do. You can do what you got to do, and you can run the House. Because everybody know, okay, we want to jump ship, and they want to jump ship, and they say, well, fuck it, we're going to go right there because the number's big. Well, you know y'all ain't telling us really what our numbers is, right? You ain't really telling what our number is, so how about this? What you got in the bag? You want another turn? What you got in the bag? You talking right? Oh, matter of fact, it is your party to claim the one said, again, Sean Hannity said something the other day. We're talking about, well, y'all the one that did Reconstruction. You the one that stopped segregation. Okay. We got a little history together. Well, why don't you go ahead and seal the deal and give us what you know you're supposed to give us? And shit, we ain't got no problem, do we, y'all? Do we? We ain't got no problem, do we? All right. So you want to work that out? Let's work it. All right, moving on. All right, so what else I got up in here for you? See, okay, well, man, this one here, well, since I said it, you know what I'm saying, I have a little segment once in a while. It's called Let the People Be Heard. Now, this one here, you heard the elder before. She decided she wanted to get a little piece in, and I would go ahead and give her a second. This segment of the show is called Let the People Be Heard. But before I do that, let me go ahead and do another PSA for those who might, again, you new to the show here and whatever. Check it out, and be right back, and then we get right into that, right? So check it out. Let's get it in, huh?
Whatever they worked for, whatever they provided for, whatever was left to them, you know. But the slaves that were brought here, them and their descendants are owed everything. And they should be made whole because they got nothing but hard work. We didn't get nothing. We couldn't get no loans. We couldn't get no loans to buy homes. We couldn't get no loans to buy businesses with. We were the business. So, yeah, I understand where she's coming from. She's right.
Okay.
They don't owe her nothing. They don't owe them nothing. They don't owe no Asians nothing. They don't owe anybody nothing except but them people they brought over here on those boats in chains and made them work and sold them on blocks and sold their children. They're the ones that they owe.
Okay.
And they're the ones that should reap the benefits of this country. When it became great, instead of us reaping, we were pushed further back, not given the opportunity, not even the opportunity to make anything or to have a decent home or a decent job. Because all the jobs were given to the other immigrants that came here, the ones that paid money, the ones that were decent. We didn't get those. All our people did when they came here was pick cotton and build things. You know, the low belly job. They didn't get no office job. They didn't get no job where, okay, tomorrow I get up and I can open me a restaurant. I can open me a liquor store. Look at the Arabs here. All the Arabs here own the liquor store. Every liquor store that I know of is owned by Arabs. If they ain't owned by Arabs, they're owned by the white man. Black people don't have no liquor store. Black people can't have fine restaurants downtown. We don't get none of that. But they'll come here and they give them loans. They'll help them. They got organizations that will help them get on their feet when they come here. Look at the Vietnamese when they come here, all them boat people. When you go down to Chinatown and all those places around there, all those people will give them loans to open businesses, start their business. Where is our business? What business do we have? In our own neighborhood, we don't even own a store, or no type of store, no type of business. But we spend more money than anybody, than any other nationality in this country. Blacks spend more money, but we don't get no benefits. And then they want to say, oh, they're lazy. They don't want nothing. They won't work. Now, how can you work if you won't give them a job? People can't get a job that will pay $15 and $16 an hour. You know what? Before they would give it to you, they will hire Mexicans to come in and work for half that. Or some Jamaican or African or whoever. If you Black American, you're not going to make it in this country trying to work. This is where so many people are just selling drugs and stuff. They can't make it up with $4 and $5 an hour. And you got a family and a home to take care of. And then when you retire, your Social Security is so small, you can barely survive on it. But all that hard work you don't put in, nothing. Yeah, she right. Yeah.
Okay. So so now there's a movement going on about, it's called the DOS. I don't know if you heard of that. There's a movement going on where people are pretty much coming together, descendant of slaves. They call it either the American DOS, ADOS, or they call it the DOS. And so them are giving recollection of their ancestry, right? Our ancestry that's coming in this country, and we being the siblings of them, or they say the prosperity of them. And so what you're hearing now is a lot of people from, let's say, okay, if we're going to say that we are all connected as Africans back to the continent through ancestry, but through the slave trade, people were either already in different geographical locations or brought there. Now, people who might have been in different parts of islands of the Americas, South America and the islands, and other places like that, when they come to the United States, they're now seeming to claim like they're equivalent to the Black Americans.
I know.
And I want to ask you, based on, your experience and your wisdom about you being here and your interaction with people from, let's say, again, as we're talking about, people who are not direct descendants of Black Americans in this country, that come here, that become document like citizens. Now, those who are documented are acting as if like when they first come here, or they first or second or third, maybe it could be 3 generations, are acting as if they're equivalent to those who have been here. If we're even going to say that 1619 is a starting place, which it wouldn't even be accurate. But that's 400 years. So I'm just asking you as a person, again, you from a different generation, you seen, so how do you feel about something like that?
The way I feel, like, no, they are not equal to us, because we have been here, we've helped build this country. People can say what they want to say. Without the slaves, we would not have this country would not be what it is, because we built this country on our back. We made the wealth for this country, and when they come here, they don't bring nothing here to this country. They don't bring anything. They come here, they take from this country. Majority of them come here and work. They send their money back home. Their money goes back to help their country, their people in their country. Many of them have large families that they send most of their paycheck back. I know because I worked with them, and I know what they do. They use one check for them, and the next check is to go back home to their family. And we can't do that. We can barely help our families here. When we live in the houses, we don't make enough for us to survive. You know, somebody in that house has got to do something extra to survive. This is how it is for the American black. Now, for the people that come over here from the Caribbeans and all them places, they do well because 15 of them can live in one house and they all work and they can save money, send money home, buy homes back home. But see here, they will not let more than 5 black people live in a house. Oh no. You got too many people in the house. You know that. You know they couldn't do that. And then when the man lived in the house, they made it even worse for a black American. You couldn't have a man living in your house and receive some help. And when they come here, they have a kid. Every kid that's born on American soil gets public aid until it's 18 years old. They wouldn't do that for us. If you had 4 or 5 kids in that house and there was a man there that was working, your stuff got cut in half, or got cut off. So they haven't brought anything to the table when it comes down to citizenship. It comes down to working for having. They didn't bring nothing. They were given. We wasn't given. We had to earn what little bit we got, and we earned it in the hard way. We didn't get no job in the hospital cleaning the floor. Where were we? We was out there in the field picking cotton. We was out there in sugar cane. We had to do all that to get to them jobs that they don't no longer want. They don't want them no more because they done moved up. They got business. They work for their people that have businesses. And the Asian people come here. Everything that they have worked for in this country has turned to gold for them. They are probably some of the richest people in America, the Asians are, because they own so much stuff. Look at all the hair and stuff they sell. Look at all the cosmetics and everything that got to do with beauty and the restaurants and stuff. They own all that. We were here first, but we didn't get none of that. Why is that? Why we didn't get nothing?
Right.
Because without us, they couldn't survive. This country couldn't survive without them because the hard work that was being done, they could not do it. There was no way they could have done work from sun up to sundown like our ancestors did and made all that money for the white man. There's no way they could have done it. So when you say the people that we are all from Africa, we are from Africa, but we are not the same descendants as they are now. I mean, when they come here, they're not the same as our ancestors were when they came here.
True.
They don't have that knowledge that our ancestors had because they didn't have to work as hard as we did, as our ancestors did. I can remember when in the 60s, when we would be going to certain places in the South or coming back to Illinois, leaving Illinois going south, you would see hundreds of people picking cotton. Now, this was in the 60s. Hundreds of people picking cotton. Hundreds of people driving tractors, planting. I never seen nobody from no other country out there. I never seen nobody from another country own a farm and raise all these crops and stuff and had black people working. It was just a white man. But when the white man didn't need us no more, he thought he didn't need us no more, then he started to separate. Make this one turn against this one. He would make this one think, oh, well, because of his skin, I'm going to hide him and I'm going to hide the black one. So that makes the light of the skin person think that he was more than the dark skinned person. See, so they always have found a way to keep us divided, from slavery up until today. If you watch TV now, only thing you see on TV is light-skinned people. You don't hardly see no dark person on TV with no TV show. And then they turn around and they take the half-white children, they throw them over our children. They try to make the dark kids think that they are not as good. They keep going buying cosmetics, bleaching their skin, straightening their hair, trying to make them look like them. It's all messed up. We need to take our children and sit them down and try and explain to them, your blackness is beautiful. This is where we came from. This is how we're supposed to look. We don't got to be half white with straight hair. And then they want to say, oh, they black. So then how come they can't be white? They half white. How come they can't be white?
Okay. Still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to say, like, it doesn't matter how long we've been in this country and how hard we work. We ain't never gonna be equal to the people that they brought here over us to keep us down. They brought the Mexicans. They let the Mexicans in to keep us down because the Mexicans would take the jobs. I have been working on the machine, and they would turn the machine off and let two Mexicans do their job. They didn't need the machine no more. So where did that put you? Out of a job. This ain't something somebody told me. This is something I know I done. Yeah, I worked in manufacturing. I worked in a lot of factories. And when you go in that office for a raise, I give you 2 weeks. You won't have that job because they'll have two Mexicans on that machine, or they'll turn that machine off and put them on, let them work without it. But they can work faster than the machine. They do that.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. When people come to this country and they already been programmed, stay away from us. If they come here and they interact with us, they gonna get in trouble. You ain't gonna be able to get a job because the white men ain't gonna like them because they hanging out with them. So we gonna school them, you know. We're gonna let them know exactly what this job is worth and how many hours you're supposed to work and what you're supposed to get paid for. They don't want that. They don't want us talking to them. So they keep us divided. If they think too many of us in this workplace, they gonna get rid of some of us.
Okay. So now what they're doing is they also doing this too. Now, like I was saying, as to the migration of, let's say, first generations, that again, as you said, about people who migrate here from other origin and their parentage come from other nations, when they have that firstborn so-called American documented child, right? Now they're speaking like, okay, because again, they're trying to talk about reparations. The DOS is trying to talk about reparations. And it seems that everybody who is of a foreign descent seems to be angry that we're talking in this manner. So they're thinking now it's like we're trying to distinguish ourselves, but they said that they also too are slaves of the same diaspora. And they think they're supposed to get the same claim here. Now, what do you think about that?
How can they be the same? We don't even know exactly where all of them came from, you know. So how can they be of the same people if they came? Them people were brought here from different parts of Africa. They had children, and their children had children. How can you say that you're from the same people? You know, I mean, you're black, of course. You were probably from the African descent, but you can't say that after so many generations. You can't say many of us. We are mixed with different culture, European cultures. All of us ain't all black no more. So how is that? How can they say that?
Right. But yet they're saying that if we're trying to get some claim, they're trying. The way they're wording it is this. Okay. Since I got you on this, define for me the difference between Black American and an African American.
Well, one thing about it, the bloodline has changed over many years.
Is there a difference between a Black American and an African American? Well, because the way I just give the way how I look at it. The way I look at it is an African American can be any person with, as we say, melanin, which is the color of your skin. Mm-hmm. That could be anybody who comes from descendancy can trace back accordingly. They say that Africa. So that's why Barack Obama can be African American. You can have what's her name that's trying to run for president. What's her name?
Oh, yeah.
Right. She's trying to be. She's saying she's African American. Right. So they're saying they're African American. So I'm saying, isn't there a distinction between that which can be classified African American versus what you said a bloodline, which is Black American? So I'm just saying, how can you define that for me?
I don't know.
Okay, okay, that's fine. Because I'm just saying, because the conversation is getting that people are thinking that because they're saying African American, so they're trying to sneak that in when they're talking about legislation and talking about encompassing. They want to slip in brown people and African Americans, which to me, you're still not giving the respect and due to Black Americans, who are the real foundation to whatever the claim that's going to be. It has to be a Black American claim. And these people are they're either so greedy, they're either so hateful, jealous, and envied to the fact that they don't want to see us get anything, because I guess people believe if we get something, then what position that they got, and that's the position you should have anyway, because you came here voluntarily. You didn't come here as one who put the blood, sweat, and tears into this soil to make it what it is, what we claim it to be. But they feel like if there's anything to be gained, they feel like they entitled, like we entitled. And I'm like, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with these people? Are you that selfish? They're selfish. That's being selfish.
Yeah.
That's really just being selfish.
I think there's a little fear in there too, because they know if we ever get to the point where we don't have to depend on nobody, we can take care of ourselves. That's scary, you know.
Right, because the system. Right, because
it's scary for them and it's scary for the white man.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they jealous. If say tomorrow morning you woke up and there was $500,000 in your mailbox, that will put you over a lot of people, give you a lot of power, and that's one thing these people in this country do not want is a Black man with power, money and power. This is what this country was founded on. This is what it's built on. And for you to have that kind of, that's why we were the ones that put all the technology together. We were the ones that made the cars, the planes, all this stuff in the factory. This came from us, came from the Africans that came. We know all this stuff came from them. But what they did, they patented your stuff. They used your stuff, but they wouldn't give you no money. So their money was took away all they found. The money was took away they found. But they're never going to let you have that. They're never going to. Reparation is just a trick. It ain't going to.
Your phone breaking a little bit. You still there? You still there?
Yeah, my phone keep breaking off.
Yeah. It's clear, nice and strong and clear that time.
It was. Yeah, it started to, I don't know what it's doing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're afraid to let the black man have it. But you know what? You can take a black man with $50 and he can do a whole lot with $50. You give a black man $50, it's nothing to him. He can't make it off of $50. He couldn't do it. If I gave you $50 a week, you would know how to budget. You could make it, but he couldn't do it.
Right.
That's why they are afraid to let you have their money, because if you spend their money, then you know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's an old saying, right? Said those who get money don't know what to do with it, and those who don't got the money know what to do with it.
That's right, and they know what to do with money. They know we know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, all right. Y'all heard it. Let the people be heard, right? Okay, so I'm all right, so that was Let the People Be Heard. Once in a while, we'll bring the wisdom to come over and drop some jewels on you, right? I have quite a few people on the lineup. And matter of fact, for those who might want to be part of Let the People Be Heard, send me a shot, right? Send me a shot at one of these. You can either hit me up as you see on the screen there. You can hit that Twitter at TV_black. From the Twitter, right? Or you can just hit me through the Gmail account, which is Droppin' Serious Knowledge. That's Droppin', DROPPINSERIOUS KNOWLEDGE @gmail.com. We can set up times on a certain particular topic. Allow you to be able to get your wisdom off on a specific topic, so you could be a part of the show. Again, until I can get back live and get the call-in show, this is a way you could be part of the show. So I'm offering that to anybody who's willing to. Bernard Thomas, definitely you could be one as well, brother. So we at the 2-hour mark, and so I had another part, but I'm actually make that a solo video, so that way I can give two for y'all been holding out. So again, I want to thank everybody who participated and listened to the show today. Again, anybody who feel like this show might be against you because you may not be, as I say, we family, but there's this distinction in this country. It's not anything against you. It's just that in our position as people in this land and what we've gone through, if there's ever going to be a conversation about anything that has to do with about gaining a claim, then we as those people definitely should be the first in line. It wouldn't be proper. It just wouldn't be proper that anybody who would be in front of the people who are the descendants, since our ancestors can't, and we become the beneficiaries of that policy, then it's on the incumbent. It should be respectful by other people. If there should ever be that you should respect that, not trying to find a way to dwindle yourself or get yourself in if you do have a claim, and I'm not saying you don't. Anybody who is part of that diaspora, right? But the problem is you would have to get the claimant from that which originated the atrocity. You can't just pick any, mini, mighty, mo and say, well, since we here, we can get over. No, it don't work like that. You see? And so, again, the people who given, even where most people, again, those of this America have contributed so much to this planet, to all the other nations, that everybody must do respect to us. But again, us being here from the United States, again, you have to allow us to be in that, and you must respect that, to be allies. That's just the bottom line, man. And so again, we give love to all family, especially DOS. Again, when you see each other, give that universal nod. What's good, brother? What's good, sister? Have love, unity for one another. John Henry Clark said the only friend we got is ourselves. Until then, peace, love, and hair grease and all that. Until the next show, peace, love, y'all.
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
I'm here to tell you tonight that the businessmen, the mayor of this city, the police commissioner of this city, and everybody in the white power structure of this city must take a responsibility for everything. Can you feel it?
Luther and I and everyone in this arena tonight are unified by the same great American values. We're proud of our country. We respect our flag. Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
Race is when you use your power and influence to subject people into inferiority. Utterances can't be racist.
Look around you, man. They own this shit. They own this couch you sitting on, them shoes you got on your feet, this building, this school, this country, you. We're behind enemy lines, dog.
So you must first of all remember that this system was not originally designed with black people in mind. Right on. And it definitely was not prepared for black people to, in the end, begin to demand their rights and an equal share in this country which they've died for. Right on. Hey, and we definitely are not going back to Africa.
In the church, we used to sing the song, "Good news, the chariot is coming." While you sit here today, knowing that you have come to hear good news, you must realize in advance what good news for you might be bad news for somebody else. What good news for the sheep might be bad news to the wolf.
They say, oh, things are getting so much better for you. In 1849, it was hitting blacks on the head 100 times a day. In 1990, they hit them 48 times a day. Isn't it better? Oh, it's got to be better. You're saying 52 blows.
The only purpose of most black Americans on earth today is to destroy.
I think that's noble. Italians love Italians. When Irish love Irish. But when a nigga loves a nigga, it's an unpardonable sin. They have blood in their hands. When we say they have blood in their hands, we are not saying him, George Bezos, went and killed. But white people colonized us. They dispersed us. They enslaved our people. They sucked our economy dry. They are still sucking it dry even today. That's white people. Tony Blair, George Bush, Napoleon Bonaparte, Leopold, Adolf Hitler, Benjamin Netanyahu. All white people, they are the same. They are racist and they are full of hate.
I've been waiting for you. You have many questions, and though the process has altered your consciousness, you remain irrevocably human. Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not. Concordantly, while your first question may be the most pertinent, you may or may not realize it is also the most irrelevant. Why am I here?
Our world is coming crumbling down. The coons are coming.
You got to understand that white America has an uncanny way of making the victim the victimizer. Excuse me, master, for putting my head in the way of your club. Not that your club is brutalizing my head and putting hickeys on it. My head got in the way of your free swing and broke your shiny stick, and I want to apologize for that.
Your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent to the programming of the Matrix. You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision. While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected and thus not beyond a measure of control. which has led you inexorably here.
There are more connections in the human body than there are stars in the galaxy. We possess a gigantic network of information to which we have almost no access.
Matrix is older than you know. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the 6th version.
5 ones before me. 3. There are only 2 possible explanations. There were 5 ones before me. Either no one told me, or no one knows.
Precisely. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equations.
Control me! I'm gonna smash you to biscuit! You can't make me do anything like Chris!
Choice. The problem is choice.
Let us remember that we are not brutalized because we're Baptists. We're not brutalized because we're Methodists. We're not brutalized because we're Muslims. We're not brutalized because we're Catholics. We're brutalized because we are black people in America.
Because white people made him to be what he is. They made him to look evil, because that's their role, to make all of us black people to look evil and to hate ourselves. I can't hate.
You're a nigga till you die. If you're a poor nigga, you're a poor nigga. If you're a rich nigga, you're a rich nigga. But you never stop being a nigga. And if you get to be educated, you're just an educated nigga.
I'm told every day I'm on air that I'm racist because I call out racism. That is maddening to me, and I'm crying about it because it's crazy.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching you and I and trying to tell the white man to get this powder keg out of his house. Let the black man separate from his house. Let the black man have his own house. Let the black man have his own land and his own property.
I thought the bitch was white! Damn it! I thought the bitch was white!
That's true.
I think that white people are so guilty, knowing what they've done to black people, that they feel if the deeds were reversed, they would hate the black man if he had done the same thing to them. So it's actually, it reflects a guilt complex on the part of whites when they ask us, do we hate them? And if you notice, Uncle Sam has formed a habit of going all over the world. He calls it the ugly American, or the American image. He thinks that everybody hates him because it's a guilt complex. And if you think that if you are worried about Europeans hating you, and they're your allies and your cousins, well, naturally it would follow for you to think that Negroes in this country would hate you, especially in light of what has been done to black people in this country by white people.
Now, check it out. The white ball dominates everything, right? Knocks the shit out the yellow ball, the red ball, right? And the game's over when the white ball drives the black ball completely off the table.
But you have to see that all of this is hypocrisy.
I love Malcolm. Malcolm called me the Sunday that he died. I was working Basin Street East. He said, "Brother Greg, you coming by today?" And I said, "Malcolm, I love you." And I said, "I love you so much, I don't even want to take a chance to be there." He said, "What do you mean, Brother Greg?" I said, "Well, I close tonight, Sunday night at Basin Street East." And I said, "But I had my wife book me a flight into Chicago at 8 o'clock this morning. And I'm going to Chicago, and I had way beneath my salary, booked me into a college about 10 miles from the airport. And I'm going to go there and speak this afternoon, and I'm going to stay there until they tell me you dead. Because I'm not going to let this government get 2 of us for the price of 1. And I'm going to call Adam Clayton Powell when I finish talking to you and beg him not to come there. Because today, the United States government is going to get you.